welcome back to the audiobook reading of Always the Horizon by Murdoch, as read by Livid Productions. Quick note before we begin, I'd like to make a note that for these recordings, I'm using the latest edited PDF as of the time of recording. And with that out of the way, we will continue with Chapter 2, The Inconsistency of Man. You will become a new man when you exit this forest. Just as you are no longer the one who wept in the graveyard, you will become something new again. For you are always in a state of flux. Let us pause at this stream and repose. They say Heraclitus once rested here and declared that no man could ever step into the same river twice, for both he and the river had forever changed. Wizards say that all things are energy, and that energy is movement. Democritus posited that reality was composed of atoms. I suppose those atoms are always changing too, dancing to the rhythm of time. May I ask a favor, writer? May we dispense with these terms? Universe, cosmos, heaven, hell. We simply call it being. Perhaps it could be said that even being is in motion. Know this, I'm a pupil of both Heraclitus and Parmenides, for I believe being simply is. Perhaps time itself is an illusion, that change is a phantasm. Yet here we are, both changed men. I remember a time when I cared little for anything but myself. Then there came the time when I only cared for the graveyard. And now, here I stand, as one who only wishes to chase the sun. Have you not changed too? Come, let us cool our feet in the river. How can it be that a man can hold two contradictory beliefs at the same time? Is it true that all is one, or is change the only real consistency? Can it be both? Look there across the river at that old tree. Tell me, how is it possible that the distance between the tree and yourself is infinitely divisible? Is there an infinity between us? Was Zeno mad? Was a materialist in error to attempt to put lines around everything? Have we been going the wrong way since Aristotle? How should I ever know? For I am the fool who is both a student of Nietzsche and Socrates. I am the midwit who can see truths in both the analytical and continental eye, between Kant and Hume, Ragnar Redbeard and Christ. Even more, here, when we must discuss the topic of race, I again shall be inconsistent. For race, like all things, is and is in a state of flux. I have been untruthful to you, writer, for I have maintained silence at your expense. This forest that I've led you to is a maze that far too often leads to brutality. This place can drive one mad, to place brother against brother, and give way to the uncertainty of certainties. These fixed lines that we arbitrarily codified into rigid dogma. What is Europe, writer? Is it just the Yamanaya? Shall we rejoice in the liquidation of Gaul? Is Celtic blood poison? Are the true god men the Hellenes? Is the German a subhuman brute who defiled the greatness of Rome? There, see? It begins. The constant cutting of parts, like chopping away all branches of a sacred tree, so that only the greenest branch of the tree may reach the sun. You must forgive my tongue, writer, for this forest weighs on me a great degree, and I feel that as of late my thoughts are slipping. At each step further that we take into this forest, this maze of the mind, the more I lose my composure. Yet we must answer this question before we can leave. How am I to know Europe? What exactly is the European continuum made of? For the analytical philosophers will not join us on our path until we have answered them accordingly. Is it R1A or R1B? Is it the green-eyed man who is the Übermensch, or the blue? Which sets of which genes are required to give us Galileo Galilei, and which to give us Leonardo da Vinci? And between the two, which is the master race? Now let me ask you this, writer. When the water that flows within the river finally makes its way to the sea, is it still the river? At what point exactly has it changed? You understand why I have taken you here? For in our travels we may come upon those cowards of men who will say, there can be no European continuum because you cannot define its edges. Well, perhaps they are right. But I cannot deny what I instinctively feel. But then again, in truth, the German is best, yes? He alone should stand above all. And surely he has every right to eradicate these Italians and Irishmen, for they are inferior. Then again, it must be the Greek who is truly the beyond man. For was it not the Greek who gave us the most exquisite culture? And splendid, for it is settled. We shall exterminate the German and give way to a glorious Greek empire. Then again, I must ask, is the Greek even white? Blast! You see, this forest is a web filled with spiders from the darkest of crypts. Bats and bugs, ravens and dire wolves. This place is no place to remain. Now answer me, writer. What is Europe? How am I to know it? What is the fabric of the continuum? What exactly is its material makeup? Or is it possible that there's something else to it, under it, yearning to make way? They say there were 3 great forms that manifested in the development of these peoples, but how long I wonder until they tell me it was 9 or 20. For the wizards can never make up their minds. From what I have heard, they were the Western European hunter-gatherers, the ancient North Eurasians, and the early European farmers. These are the roots of the tree. Where do they come from? What exactly were they before? Inevitably, their origins make their way back into the mist. The mist that encircles men and mankind since time immemorial. Even if our aim is to follow the horizon and chase the sun, some landscapes will always remain hidden. Perhaps it is nature's prudence not to deliver up all her secrets to a single man. So now you must choose, writer. Which of the 3 must be kept, and which should be uprooted? And again, must we uproot anything? Can we simply not allow the branches to yearn for the sun on their own? For it is true that all light that touches their limbs only serves to give life to the tree. Yes, perhaps it is your branch who absorbs the most light. Or perhaps it is mine. Then again, I must ask, are you a halfling, writer? Are you a quarter blood? Some mixed-up being attached to the European continuum? A hybrid, a mongrel, a lost one, of those whom have never even had a grave. For he who has 2 graveyards but only 1 body can never truly rest in peace, just as a country between 2 nations at war cannot remain neutral. These Semitic puppet pundits that claim the leadership of the radical right, who could only pretend to know my crimson cloak, will call you an abomination. And perhaps it is so. However, it is well with me that abominations can join the chase of the sun. For you to have come this far only gives me further hope in the final aim. That the moral framework that we shall establish will exist within the hearts of all mankind. Just as hierarchy is natural, so too is the hierarchy of being. for it is only the obfuscator whom will destroy himself to maintain imbalance. It is only he, that Semitic viper, filled with cunning, who would gouge out the eye of being just to maintain his megalomania. But let us not dwell on him yet, for now is not the time to confront such creatures. Not until we can leave this forest. So tell me, writer, who is the master race? Where does the line begin and end? How am I to know Europe? Now I have it. Let us say that in order to truly be European, one must be 33.33% Celtic, 33.33% Mediterranean, and 33.33% Germanic. Or should there be a leniency of 5% for Slavs? And what of the Anglo? Are they even European? No, certainly not. Yet perhaps they are. Well, in fact, they are the most European. Alas, this will not do, for surely the master race must have a jawline. So we must do away with the Anglos. Let us also discard the Nords, Mediterraneans, and Celts. Perhaps we should cut down the whole tree? Writer, I believe I must sit down, for my mind is not well. Surely this forest taxes us both. The mist now makes its way into my thoughts. I hear 1,000 voices whispering in the trees. For a moment I'm a German losing his homeland to the Roman civilizer. The next, I'm a Roman witnessing the collapse of my state at the hands of this blonde brute. Today, I'm the president of Minden, massacred by Catholics. And tomorrow, I'm the inhabitant of Landsberg, decimated by Protestants. I feel their hatred, writer, an old, virulent hatred that I'm not sure can ever be overcome. For a moment I see through the eyes of a Russian soldier on the Eastern Front during the Second World War. I'm taking a woman's body as she weeps. She has my blue eyes. What am I doing? No, but of course, they invaded our motherland. Therefore, every last German must be liquidated. For only when the German is removed will the good earth know of kindness. What does this bitch know of kindness anyway? I weep. Please, writer, tell me there's something more to this than genes and streams. I cannot see when one becomes the other, where the man becomes sub-man, where river becomes sea. The language has changed, but the feeling, the deep yearning from the heart of being is there, resonating in their voices. A chorus that cries out for truth in the transcendental. I see the great impulse in Dostoevsky, and I see it in Wagner. I see it in Martin Luther's desire for man to seek truth by his own volition, rather than mere acceptance of dogmatic systems. Was that not Faustian? There, too, I see it in the Catholic in his cathedrals. Semitic, yes, but under the Jewish characters, there lies the Aryan structure. For the yearning that manifested the Pantheon was the same that brought forth Notre Dame. It was the infinite that compelled them, whether the vector was the pantheon of gods or the eternal one God. It was always that the yearning drove towards the infinite. Yes, of course. This will be our finest clue yet. Suddenly we have clarity. All at once, their chorus goes from dissonance to harmony. A ray of light once again shines through the trees, for the European continuum yearns for the horizon to chase the sun. But of course, it is not only the European whom pursues the sun. I suppose there's at least one man who heeds its call in every race. To seek fundamental truth regardless of the peril that may wait. Did Spinoza quest for the infinite? Did Kubrick? Let it be said, I am a child of the horizon. Any man of any race, even he who is the abomination of race, who takes up this flight towards the sun, is my ally. But know this, I travel only the path that gives rebirth to the European continuum. That in the pursuit of truth, I may find the remedy to rejuvenate our poisoned people. I believe that in my journey towards the sun, I will one day wield the sacred sword, so that light can again shine in their eyes. That they may once again pick up the banner with a venerated lightning bolt and fulfill their destiny, for they alone, I believe, are the guardians of knowing, being's seeker, its greatest lens. What am I even saying? They? There is no they. For what does the Frenchman and the German have in common but a heap of corpses at Verdun? Does the child of America, which is an extension of Britain, felt so compelled as to go to war with her over tea, have anything in common with its Anglo-womb? The British should gnash their teeth and seek vengeance. I can imagine them now, burning down the White House again, much to the Americans' chagrin. Would it not be splendid? Wouldn't that bring about the Superman? If the Anglo could be compelled into total war with himself, would it not only allow for a higher being? Should they not compete to the death, so as to whittle away the weak? And there's only one left in the end. Then you shall be crowned master race. Is this not the survival of the fittest? And surely, you know, Ryder, survival is everything. To hell with this European tree. It disgusts me now. If they were worthy to exist, then they would continue to exist, but look at them, Ryder, my so-called companion. For they have begun to walk hand in hand into the swamp, to die out like martyrs, in hopes of teaching an African to read our gravestones. To hell with all of them. I, the sacred clown, declare war on the European continuum. But no, that's not right. For there is no European continuum. They are merely an array of biological life forms, competing for resources. Finite resources, which forces on us an axiom of reality. We must destroy each other. We must compete. Why do we feel compelled to stop at nations and tribes? For the nationalists' bloodlust is milquetoast. We must seek ever further refinement. Do two brothers not compete at all times? Are they not mortal enemies? First, they must compete for their mother's milk. Then, they compete for their father's affection. Finally, they seek love from the nymphs. And I swear to you, Ryder, my so-called companion, there will always be a Helen of Troy. Men will always disembowel men for access to a womb. Yes, let every brother engage in a struggle to the death, like Romulus and Remus. For are we not here to resurrect Rome? Who are you, Ryder? Why have you brought me here to this place? You knew this forest was haunted, and yet you led me here? To drive me mad? Do you dare stand in my way from finding the fundamental truth? You are a bastard, a subhuman, a demon of the highest rank. Let the world know that I shall run you through with my dagger, for I have a purpose. I must save the Aryan. And now that I think of it, the Aryan no longer even exists. It was you who killed him, you lesser man, you filth. You hated him for his greatness. It was you who backstabbed us just before we touched the stars. It was you who turned our men weak with your impure blood and lack of will. Now, let us cut one another. Let us find the master race. You feel it too, Ryder. Every bump and crash as we tumble down this hill. Didn't you know it would come to this? I'm sure more than one bone is broken in my body, but my hand still clings on to the dagger, so that I may deliver its kiss to your throat, and let it proclaim me the God-man. It is here, in this sacred combat, that we learn what it means to really live. This is refinement. I am the lion, you are the gazelle. I hate you. Finally, we meet the ground. Our bodies lie broken in the ravine. Still, I manage to stand, for will alone can compel broken limbs to bend to satisfaction. But you, Ryder, my so-called companion, are weak. You are a lamb, my prey. Now you feel the cold steel across your neck. Did you not think that the supreme animal would win? Was it not obvious? Now let this force grow fat off your worthless blood. But then again, I must ask, what if you're the master race, and I'm the subhuman? Or what if I seek to defile greatness because I cannot stand being second in the hierarchy of man? What if this is my slave morality? Am I no better than he who would wish to gouge out the eye of being? Look what I've become. The sun has slipped into the night. We've lost our way. No tranquility can be found here. Only the murmurings of 1,000,000 dead men who died for nothing. A requiem for Europe. A great mass perpetually atonal. Kill me, Ryder. Now, before I change my mind again. For was it you or I who led us to this place? I can no longer remember. Which of us is the sacred clown again? Here, let me place the blade on my neck, so that you may press it into my flesh and deliver to this earth the Overman. Do it now, Ryder, my precious companion, my only friend. Tell me, why do you hesitate? Do you lack healthy instinct? Suddenly, I see through your eyes the face of the little one from the graveyard. What was her name? Ackerlund? Is it her face that answers this dreadful riddle? This question that plagues us so. How am I to know Europe? Can her eyes and smile alone form lines around what cannot be outlined? Yes, of course, Ryder, my eternal comrade. It is in her face. For there in that moment, when I see her bright eyes, I know she is part of me. Even though I am miles away, still I can feel it, even if she was born in Sweden, and I in the United States. Still I can feel it, and there is a whole world in that. There is no systematizing, no genetic analysis necessary. I simply see her, and I know that she is of my fabric, that nature itself imbued species with the capacity to feel the world, not just endlessly rationalize it. Ryder, you beautiful bastard, look. We've cleared the forest. Let us carry this good news with us. Let us tell the other Europeans who wish to fly under this banner. For we, these new romantics, who now walk the earth, hold a young girl's face in our hearts. We see now that race is a feeling, that race is a way of being, that race is a purpose. Yes, the European continuum. I remember them again, those remarkable ones. For I shall demarcate nothing. I shall not yield to the scientist, the clergy of new. I shall not care if the man of the analytical world understands me, for I see her face and I see my people at once. And for a moment, there is no hesitation. For a moment, there is both a race in flux but also a race that simply is. Come, let us make way, for not far from here is my old pub. Remember this, writer. Alcohol is the European's health potion. For we must heal after having lost ourselves for so long in those dreadful woods. There in that old pub, we will sit with the vile and putrid, the ugly and profane. But know this, there too lies the mind of genius and beautiful rebellion. There in that tavern, which was the forum of my younger years, we shall see the condition we find men of our rank. There, we will heal not only our wounded bodies, but also the minds of our potential companions. Now come, we must drink, for we have conquered this forest of madness. Despite the fact that we have lost the sun today, tomorrow we will again take up the quest. For even though we must endure sunset and night, we will always have dawn. And with the reemergence of our beloved star, we can continue our endeavor with our eyes transfixed, always on the horizon.